Check, check. Let's see. Okay. Check, check, check. Check, check, check. All right, well, I'm gonna go ahead and start. People join me. Great. Welcome to the patron-only live stream, where I'm going to be talking to you guys and hopefully have some my patrons who are available. If you are watching this right now and you're not a patron, it's probably because you missed the live stream. And the way you can always know when I am live streaming is by following me on Patreon. If you follow me on Patreon, you will receive access to, of course, live streams, early content, and then for like $5 a month, you can possibly get a t-shirt once a month. It is a good deal. So I highly encourage everybody to do it. I'm gonna fix my camera. There we go, it's a little better. Maybe. If you join the Patreon, you can gain access to those things. What I'm doing today is you see some labels up front. I'm labeling all of my meads that I have, and each one has a pretty unique and fun label that I had some help with. And I want to make the labels or the meads themselves look nicer. So right now they're all blank bottles, and the process is real simple. I have printed off a bunch of labels. They are stickers, and the painstaking thing is just making sure you get it on straight. So it really is achieving the man-made side of things. But you can't really see from my vantage point, and I'm sorry, but I need to fix the camera still. Here's one label. Does that help a little bit? Let's see. There's one label you can see. A little bit interesting. I'll try to show more of them as well. Sorry, I'm working on my camera setup some. Now I'm too far one way. Maybe. That help? I don't know. We're gonna find out. I see somebody's in here. Hello. Welcome to the live stream. I wish this camera would not be so crazy. And get the side angle of this wall. I don't get it. It makes no sense. All right, that's gonna have to work. Okay, so it's time to start labeling. Like I said, these are more just monotonous to put on, which is why I want to do it here and hopefully get some people to talk to as well. What I'm currently putting on is I have some old peppermint meads that I made, and well, as my original one. And so I'm using the same label as my new one. The difference is I put OG on this one that's the original, so that I can differentiate the difference between multiple ones. So that is what's going on here. Hello, Donut1107. How are you doing? Welcome to the patron-only live stream. You must be a patron to be here, so I appreciate your support. Are you an active mead maker? That's one question I want to know from you. What answer? Getting ready for Christmas. I agree. It is right around the corner. Saw the email. That's awesome. I wasn't sure, honestly. With Patreon, sometimes they're good about like telling you when people post things, and then other times it doesn't. I have a couple of people I'm following on Patreon, then sometimes I don't always get what they post. You've made 2 batches. What are they? I'd love to hear about it. Man, this label is not happening for this one. It's a little frustrating. They get kind of crinkled. What was the flavor mead, if you don't mind me asking? Is my audio still working? If you don't mind me asking. Yep, it is. Seconds and secondary. So I guess they must be pretty young then. You must have just started, which is great in my opinion. Sorry, I'm not looking up the camera much. I'm trying to get these labels to go on straight. Oh man, some of them are nice, and others are not so friendly. Others, oh Lord. There we go. With the first one I did, 2-gallon carboys. Limited in how many messages you can send. Interesting. Is there a reason for that? Oh man, this label got all kinds of messed up. Oh well. It's okay. Cheap honey from Walmart. That's not a bad thing. You can use that honey. Does work. There's like I have some honey from Costco that somebody gave me, and it works just as well. Well, I mean, it's maybe not as nice as like when you go and spend $30 on a couple pounds of honey, but ultimately it works really well. You don't necessarily have to spend a load of money to get a nice mead. Oh my goodness. If this is a cursor of all these bottles, and I'm in trouble because these are not happening. Oh my gosh, how? Hopefully by the end of this, I've got a better method, but currently my method's not great. That is only 4 bottles, and they look okay, except for the crinkles down at the bottom. That was peppermint, original peppermint. Now I have a couple little 187s, which are tinier, and I'm going to put smaller labels, the exact same label design on, they're just smaller. This is my strawberry and banana. And the strawberry and banana was like a small batch of mead that I made, and so I wanted to, when I bottled it, put them all into smaller, some of them into smaller so I could give them out easier. It is a lot better, yeah. I need to use the Costco honey I have. I haven't used it quite yet, but I do know that a lot of people use honey that's a little less expensive, and it works just as well. So what kind of mead did you make, if you don't mind me asking? I'd love to know. Or meads did you make, since you made multiple? In my experience, I figured out the more meads you make, the better. I mean, of course, better it is, but better it is in the respect that you are not sitting there waiting for one of your meads to be done. I think that's one little bit of advice I'd give to people if they have the ability to make a bunch of mead, is to start a couple. If you just start one, then you find yourself sitting there waiting on that one to be waiting on the one to be done, and you kind of go crazy, and that's not a lot of fun. So, like what I did, and I'm sure sounds like you're doing the same thing, is you have a couple going, and that's perfect because then you're not sitting there going stir crazy. Oh, this label's not wanting to work. Maybe. There we go. Maybe it's just those peppermint labels, but they did not want to work at all. Hey Chris, how's it going, man? Welcome to the patron-only live stream. Glad you could make it. I didn't know how many people would have ultimately seen my message on Patreon. Chris, what are you working on with your meads? I know you normally have something going on, which is a lot of fun. Oh, these labels. By the way, Chris, we're labeling. I'm labeling my meads. I've got all these. That's what you see up front. These label designs, and I have bottled some for presents for people, and then I just have some that I needed to label in the first place. So I pulled some out of my boxes, and now I'm trying to make them look nicer. I still have a few I need to print off labels for. Like I have a traditional that needs a label and needs to be labeled. I have a label for it. What else do I have? I have 2 traditionals that need labels. What else? 6-gallon candy cane. Are you? Is it fermenting pretty crazy or anything? Mine, I feel like went wild in the beginning because there's so much sugar content for the yeast to hold on to that they fermented for a long time. I think they of course hit their cap, frankly, because mine ended up sweet still, but it was definitely a very fast, not necessarily fast, very vigorous fermentation. Just got done giving the oxygen, doing great. Yours is a way darker color than mine. Did you use did you do something different? Decide to use 3 packs of yeast? Probably good, because it's hard to get those high gravity meads started, frankly. Like mine definitely was not very friendly with me in the beginning. Almost getting a method to this. These labels are nice, but they don't always like to go on the bottle. All right, that's the strawberry and banana. That one's fairly old mead too. It's been around for a little while. Okay, moving on to the lemon and lime. This one, like I was saying a moment ago, I have some 187s that are smaller, and I have some smaller labels that go with them. Just because I like being able to do beer bottles, but I've found that people when you're first giving a mead to somebody, it's kind of hard to get rid of an entire beer bottle if there's a chance of them not liking it. So you really have to either be set in your recipe and have some proof that says that people like your stuff, or you need to be doing smaller bottles like me. I think the smaller bottle thing helps. So it's a little light after 2 days. Interesting. Actually, this one over here is the peppermint. One of my peppermints. This is also a peppermint, but the difference is that's my original peppermint that I made back in November last year, and it did not have a label. But I didn't want to use the same label. Well, I didn't want to use the exact same label because I'm going to get them confused. Did you ever find whenever you unwrapped all those candy canes, because I'm sure you did similar to me and quite a few, did you ever figure out a method, or did you end up... I figured out over time kind of what to do, but it took me probably a good 50 or 60 before I had some sort of swing to it. The rest of them were just kind of winging it and really hoping I would not lose my sanity. Because that's weird to unwrap a candy cane. That's what I've learned too. With making that mead. Candy canes are nice, but they do come apart in a weird way. Is this straight? Perfect. Part of my problem is I'm also not level with these, so I run the risk of putting it on wrong. But these little labels are actually really easy, Chris or Donut, if you are looking to label your things. And well, I'm fortunate in the respect that I have a friend who helped me to do my design work. Oh Lord, do my design work for my logos, and then I asked her about doing some stuff for bottles, and she referred me to somebody else who has just done a killer job on all of these labels. And I'm fortunate in that respect, but that doesn't mean you can't actually label your own things. You don't have to have super fancy labels to show off those things. I just so fortunately have a friend who is willing to help me. It's always nice to have connections. I keep putting these on sideways and almost dropping them. Maybe. Took me 2 hours to unwrap first 100, but now I'm pro. Yeah, that's a skill you can throw on your resume. Professional candy cane unwrapper. It's pretty wild. This label is huge. Wow. Didn't realize my proportions were different for each one. So have you thought of any, I feel like once you open the door, like I opened that door for the candy cane one, and then my brain automatically went to like, okay, what else can I do? And so I've had some other ideas. Have you found yourself with any other crazy meat ideas, Chris, since you have done the peppermint now? Is there, hold on, I feel like something might be up. Donut was saying that he had limited comments. Let me see if I can fix that. It shouldn't be that way. I don't see it. I don't have anything limited. Is it limited on you guys' feed? Or is that just a special circumstance for Donut? Sweet tarts? Yeah. That could be interesting. I wonder how those wouldn't have any like oils or anything, so you could definitely get away with that. Rate limited. Interesting. Well, I looked at this little setting. It said to limit people to a comment every 60 seconds, but I have not pressed that or enabled that, so I'm not exactly sure why it would be doing that. Oh man. I'm hoping that I become a pro at this, putting these labels on. I feel like if I went through a big company that did like the big, rolls, that they probably go on easier, you would hope, but I don't go through that. I just print them off myself, cut them myself, and it works well, except for this. You can't see it, but it's really frustrating that there's little creases on it. Little perfectionist in me is coming out. Maybe. All right. Oh my gosh, I have no idea why this is doing this. What am I doing wrong here to cause this to happen? Wait, did I figure it out? I'm gonna try, well, that's all limited line. That's done. But that's like all my small batches because I have so much of the apple cinnamon, which is this guy right here, and then the peppermint. So these are different. Oh, some of these are different because the way I printed them off. It's a little bit different. I'm gonna try a new thing. Okay. Maybe. Ooh, I think I figured it out. I did. Yes. Wow, and that's so much faster, too. All right. Done. Now we move on. Oh, now I have a problem, though. This is a little smaller bottle. This one's not gonna work as well. Oh. I have to alter it. Make it shorter, maybe? It's a little ghetto, but gotta make it work. Not as pretty as I want, but now I'm stuck on a table. Oh shoot. Well, question. I have 4 meads needing back sweetening. Haven't done it yet. Have a suggestion for the amount of honey? The thing with back sweetening that I found is it's so based on your own opinion. Because some people, everyone has different taste buds. You already know that. But to you, what might be sweet might be a completely different world for me. I don't know if I like this label. It looks really rough. I'm going to fix that. Chris, to answer your question, you should try. Honestly, what I do, I get a little scientific in that if I have a big batch, I'm going to walk off screen, but I'm still listening. If I have a big batch, I will end up like taking and putting some into a beer bottle of whatever it is, and then what I do is I'll pour that beer bottle into 4 different other containers. And when I do 4 different containers, like then I'll do different amounts of honey. So I'll use like a tablespoon or something and measure out from there. Like, okay, well I'm going to try putting a tablespoon of honey into this one. And then if it works, it works. Or if it's too sweet, whatever. But then you have little 4 cups. Once you find your ratio, like, okay, the cup number 4, I put 2 tablespoons in, and that's the ratio I liked. What you'll find is that you can just start to do a little bit of math and multiply things. And so that multiplying, this bottle has some stuff on it. You'll multiply whatever it is by 4. And that will give you the amount of honey you need to put in for whatever quantity of mead you have. So the big thing, I didn't really realize this early on until somebody had told me, well, first of all, if you know that 12 pounds of honey is a gallon, in my brain, I was like, oh, that makes sense, a gallon of honey. But I didn't equate a gallon of honey exactly to a gallon of water in space. So like when you're making a 5-gallon mead and you use, let's say, 15 pounds of honey, if you use all 15 pounds in 5 gallons, you end up with like a 6-gallon mead. So that was the first thing I realized with that. But then also, you generally get about 10 to 11 beer bottles out of every gallon of mead that you have. If it's a true gallon, then you don't lose any over racking and whatnot. So you should be getting about that much, which then your numbers, you start to multiply. Oh my gosh, I thought I had my system figured out, and this is not working like I thought. What did I do wrong? Goodness. This one is not happy. Gosh, that's bothering me. Oh, I missed one. It's okay. Maybe. Oh goodness, now I gotta fix this. I have these little labels that are what do you call it? Cornstarch, corn sugar, whatever it is, that come off with the water, and I forgot one. I'm trying to clean it off. Pretty easy. Set that one on the side so it doesn't, so I can dry some. So, did you have any problem with sediment showing up? Bottling? No, it depends on which one. So, like one of the lemon and lime ones, I think it got to the very end of the bottle, and there's a little sediment in one of them, just because I guess I missed it. That was last little bit, but it's not a lot. Stuff like what's a good example? Peppermint doesn't have any sediment in it, which is really nice. It's really simple. The big thing you have to try is just rack it and be patient, and I'm still struggling with that quite a bit, to be honest. There are a couple that, because I've made so many as of recently, I kind of forget about them, and then they're able to sit for 6 to 9 months. So that means that as I'm racking, the sediment falls over, and if you rack 4 or 5 times on a mead, most of the sediment will go away by that point. However, that's not always true. For example, the blood orange mead that I have is pretty much come to an end, and it itself is not clear. And not to say that clarity and sediment are hand in hand, but I do believe that if you have a mead that is clear, you generally will have less sediment at the bottom. Now, that's not true of every mead, because I've had a couple that were clear that had stuff at the bottom that just settled down. This is, oh my gosh. Well, it's a little frustrating. Every bottle I've made has sediment, even with the clear ones. How many times are you racking your meads, Chris? Is it? And side note, how long are you letting them sit for? Because that also makes a fairly large difference for the amount of sediment you have. Like I was saying just a moment ago. This label is sideways. That's good. Guess my eyes are a little crooked or something. I'm pretty good about getting these to be sideways. It's kind of like if you play a sport, you naturally know you have like a right hook or something. See? Oh my gosh. Also think it's the bottom of this bottle because there's a little lip. I guess I need to make my bottle labels just a hair smaller. And that might help me keep from getting all these weird sizes. 3 stages usually, and I don't bottle for about 4 months after start date. Can you give me an example, Chris, of like specifically a mead that is not, or that has a lot of sediment that you've racked? Because I feel like a lot of the time, the ones that do struggle with that are melomels, especially melomels that have fruit that fall apart super easily. Like for example, pears. A pear melomel, my pear melomel, still very, very cloudy and still has a lot of sediment at the bottom, even with me having racked it probably 3 or 4 times now. It's just naturally how that goes. But do you have an example of like one of yours that is a culprit? Okay, can I raise this up a little bit? How do I fix this problem? And I'm still crooked. Oh, that sounds good. Maybe. Oh, they're the top of it. It's my labels. They're a little too big. Just like a 1/8 of an inch too big on the top, so they get a little crease. Hard to say. Well, of the ones other than the peppermint that you have going on right now, like what's one that you've made recently? Just generally, maybe not one that's gone bad, but or been a struggle, but that you've made. Ooh, that worked. Is this a taller bottle? Why did this one work? Well, okay. Oh my gosh. So one thing that's kind of fun, other than this being sideways, is I was given like a Viking horn mug, and so I've got some mead in it right now. Actually, I've got some pineapple mead. That is, as the people from the Mead House would say, that is what is in my cup tonight. It's my August monthly mead. Oh, this is so sideways. And I did like the test with it with the primary versus secondary, but with this one, this has the pineapple in the primary and back sweetened with a little honey. It's actually really, really good. I'm very, very pleased with it. It makes me want to make a bigger batch of it. And I think what I've decided on primary versus secondary is namely just that, one, if you could do both, that's super helpful because then you're really imparting the flavor. Not to say I'm not getting the flavor, but you don't have to worry about it as much. There we go. Working on it. Ooh, that was the best one to date. Let's see. Pineapple with juice at the beginning and secondary added, real deal. It's my favorite so far, but 3 stages. Well, I'm looking at my pineapple mead right now because I can see it. Mine are fairly clear. I don't have any sediment, but I don't know. Maybe the pineapple juice in your case. I wonder if that pineapple juice has could have had maybe preservatives in it, and they don't really try to clear things like we do. They don't treat the world like wine. So there could have been some stuff in there that the yeast honestly just have a hard time. I don't know if you're referencing this right now. Have a hard time dropping out. But if that's your example, that is what I think. If you're just talking about making a pineapple mead, then I would be curious to try yours as well, being that you use pineapple juice. Bentonite. I like bentonite. Here's the issue I found with it. I used it on my Tupelo traditional mead, and I think it like stripped some of the flavors, and that was kind of a bummer because the Tupelo honey is really unique, and it has its own smoky flavor. It's just a very interesting honey, and I'm not going to back sweeten with a normal honey because then you take away the nice factor of the Tupelo. So I do regret somewhat. I used it as a test, but I do regret somewhat bentoniting my Tupelo traditional mead. I know that there are things like Easy Clear, or if you're using things that have pectic in it, like apples, you can use pectic enzyme. Pectic enzyme is great for helping clear up the pectic, which likes to sit around a lot. And I don't know all the things that have pectic in them. Oh, please, come on. There we go. But I do know that that pectic enzyme does work. And it's worked on what I'm working on right now, which is the apple cinnamon mead. And the apple cinnamon mead is pretty clear. Here's an example. It's decently clear. It's still got a little bit of a couple problems with it. However, it's not bad, especially I put pectic in the primary part. You can't tell it was made with pineapple at all. It tastes great, but no pineapple anything. So does it taste like a traditional mead, in your opinion, then? Is that what you mean? Or is it, you mean just that like you're getting a fruit flavor that you can't recognize as pineapple? Because it's kind of odd that you can't pick out any flavor. Well, at least my pineapple mead is very prevalent in pineapple taste. And I'd used frozen. It worked decently well. I used about 3 pounds of honey and a pound and a half of pineapples in each one. And I liked it quite a bit. Oh Lord. A couple things. Move some of these up here. It's turned into like a bowling pin. All right. Oh no. I've still yet to nail this, putting it on exactly straight, which is a bit of a problem. But this bottle is super easy to label on because there's no lips for it to mess up. I did one wine bottle of this one because I ultimately, I don't know, I want to have a big bottle of it. I have a box that's my 2020 box that I'm not going to touch until 2020. And it's my first like 12 meads that I made. So, a little bit curved. Anyways, first like 12 meads that I made, and I want to wait and see what they taste like a couple years from now. Which is hard, but at the same time, I've forcefully made myself not think about them anymore. Oh no. That'll be fine. I can only imagine how much a heartache it would be if you had to do hundreds and hundreds of bottles like this. That'd be awesome. I'd love to try yours and see kind of how it's coming. There we go. Have you, Chris, have you tried any meads that are not your own? I think the last time we talked, I don't know if you said you had tried them or not. I thought I recall you saying you never tried any other mead. I could be wrong though. It's been a cool minute. Only one more left for the apple cinnamon, and then we're down to the peppermint. Try credit card. That's not a bad idea. The big problem right now for me has been, oh, I don't want to do that. Did I do that right? I did. Okay. The big problem has been keeping them level, for one, but two, just like at the beginning, I didn't know how to get the sides to smoothen out. Are you in an area where you can try other meads by chance? Like, do you have a liquor store around you that does that? Sometimes there are liquor stores that have it. Mine, locally, a couple of my liquor stores, I don't have like a ton of options, which is my biggest problem. All right, apple cinnamon is done. Last but not least, peppermint. I haven't bottled all of it. Awesome. So Donut, I'm curious, what have you tried that's not been your own, if you have tried any? Oh, shoot. Maybe. Getting it figured out, kind of. It's this darn crease. I wonder, I've actually never looked it up, but like for beer they have what's called Untapped, which is like where you're able to log all your beers and stuff. I don't know if they do that with the wine. They might. I highly doubt they do it with mead. I don't think mead is big enough of a thing yet. Recently, since the was it Super Bowl? I don't know when it was, but there was that Bud Light commercial where they talked about mead. And now every time I talk about mead and how I make mead to people, they automatically think of the Super Bowl commercial, which I guess was, sort of making fun of it. Sky River Mead, dry. It was excellent, extremely dry, but had a delightful finish of honey. That's really interesting. So Donut, are you more of a dry mead person? Or are you more of like a semi-sweet? Where do you land on that world? I think it's really interesting that, of course, everybody has their own taste buds and opinions, but just how varied we are. Because I like a dry mead, but when it gets super dry, it just takes a special moment for me to sit there and appreciate it a bunch. Semi-sweet to dry is what I like the best. I would say I'm on that path. So I'm trying to think of a good example I have right now. The apple cinnamon is actually probably in the more semi-sweet, to that dry range. Oh, come on, I cannot get that straight. There we go. I don't want it to be too sweet. I have the same problem you have with dry. Yeah, I definitely do not like too sweet of a mead. Like, for example, I don't know if you saw the video about the peppermint. It was so sweet because of all the candy cane sugar and all of the sugar from the honey that the yeast can run through it all, and it ended up very, very dry, which was not the end of the world. Labels sideways. But it means that it becomes like a dessert wine, and frankly, like the type of meads that you have to, you can only drink like a couple drops or a couple sips of, those are not the kind of meads I want to produce. While those are good, no doubt, ultimately you want people to want a whole bottle or a whole 2 bottles. So I'm trying to stay away from too sweet. Even though sweet sells. Somebody said it sometime, and they said sweet sells. It's very true. Sweet definitely sells in today's world. that's it. Maybe. Had a Hidden Legend Wild Elderberry, and it wasn't very good. I also tried the Dark, which I believe was a Bochet. Interesting. So I'm kind of limited in what I can get. I need, one being in Oklahoma, you can't really, like most other states, you can buy it online and they'll ship it to you, in a lot of other states at least. I can't do that here. And so I don't have as much of a luxury to try all of these meads that are truly probably great. I'm stuck with a few. So like the ones that I've found recently are like Redstone Meadery, which is out of Colorado. There is, shoot, what's that one? Moonlight Meadery. There's also like Chaucer's, which is not very good. Chaucer's is very like beginning mead triers because it's so sweet, and I don't know. It's, in my opinion, it's not a great representation of what mead is or supposed to be. It's just kind of, it's like the Riesling, which they're good Rieslings, but most Rieslings are pretty sweet. Ooh, this one did not go how I liked. It's okay. A few more left. 6%. Oh man, I would love to try another hydromel. I haven't made one in a long time since my last one failed. That's honestly just maybe a little PTSD of the failure, where I'm kind of nervous about trying it again. But ultimately, I feel like at this point I know more about mead making, so I might not make that same mistake. How did it fail? So I made a, gosh darn it. Sorry, this label's bothering me. Wow, that one. Interesting. It failed because the strawberries I put into the secondary, what I did was I put I did a basically quote a traditional hydromel in the beginning, and let that go. That fermented fine, went out completely. Then I added my strawberries in, and when I added my strawberries in, I either did not sanitize something correctly or something along that line, because good lord, what is happening with these? I didn't, because there was a mold that developed on it, and it definitely took over the mead. Oops. I'm starting over on this one. These bottles, these ones right here are not too nice. Oh yeah, I don't know what happened with mine exactly. All I know is that ultimately I got this mold that developed on top. I've never tried actually like boiling my fruit. I've had people talk about it before. I don't think it's a bad thing. I also am a little leery of it just because I wonder how much the fruit falls apart, and if like you're ultimately just getting a lot of sediment because of that. But it might not be true. I've also never tried it, to be very fair. I've always been one to just put my fruit in, like freeze them, and then thaw them out, and then throw them in, basically into a bag or something like that. But that's of course after I've sterilized and sanitized and did those things. One lesson I've learned tonight is that these labels are just a little too big. I think that's my biggest problem with getting them on here. Maybe. Oh well. This one's like not even. What's happening here? You left. Hydromel can be difficult because you don't have the alcohol to kill off bacteria. That is definitely true. I think that's what happened with mine. There's nothing to fight, and it got ran over. Very much so. Oh, that's super crooked. That's good. I think that the fiber in the fruit turns to sugar or something when you heat it enough. Interesting. I don't know about that, to be honest. But that's something I should know. I think in hindsight, a little research I should do. I did have, like I said, somebody was recommending that I boil my fruit. And I was leery and honestly didn't try it. I don't like this label here. Oh no. Goodness. That one is done. Not. I'll have to fix this one. It had a little tear on the side. So I'll set that to the side. Maybe that'll fix. What about starting a regular mead and water it down later in the process? For what? Oh, you mean like if it's too sweet? Is that what you mean? Like I'm trying to figure out what reasoning you have to do that. I'd be afraid to water down something later, unless like my peppermint mead. My resolve for it is to go ahead and actually like add some peppermint tea, and then try that. Oh, hydromel. In the world, yeah, that might not be a bad idea. I honestly, like, I don't know how much the but how much the flavors would change. You got to think how strong your mead would be when you first start it, and like your flavors. You'd really have to it's like a cold brew coffee. You'd have to really brew super strong, and then anticipate having to lose a fair amount of flavor when you like water it down, just like cold brew. To reduce. Yeah, I honestly don't have a great answer for that because I'd be afraid of, like I said, cold brew coffee idea taking and kind of hurting. Oh, come on. Ultimately hurting your mead more than it's worth. If I gently peel this one. Luckily, these labels are not too expensive, so I can risk losing a few. And what's annoying is when they don't peel off perfectly. Oh, I'm about to die here. Yeah, that's another thing too. Your gravity reading is kind of shot in that you're putting such a crazy variable in there that you don't really know exactly where it'll be in the future. It's just kind of a guess. However, if you're like a home mead maker, while gravity readings are very important, I will say, the truth is people don't always look at your ABVs. Some people will, but like let's say you're giving it to just a friend. Some people might just go, oh, free alcohol, and so they don't really care if it's a 13% or a 10%. This label was even worse. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it. as it is. Do better on this next one. Last 3 of them, and then I have to put them all away. All the peppermint ones. What do you think of refractometers? I'll be real honest, I have no experience with them. So I would love to give a further opinion. However, it would be me just making up something. So when I get some experience with it, though, we can have that. I'll give you my opinion then. Man, these last like 3 labels have not been my best work. Not at all. I do like these bottles though. The one I'm doing right now is like a. Normally, when you go to a brew shop, you end up paying probably $3 to $4 for a bottle that's a swing top that is beer bottle size or bigger. And I was able to actually find these for a really good deal for about $1 a piece, and it's honestly pretty nice to just have that. All right, last one. And I can't say that I perfected the method by the end of this, very honestly. I just still made the same mistakes even on this very last one. This is like the aggravation of like if you get a new phone or something and you try to put on a little bubble screen. This is like that aggravation, but multiplied by like probably 50 because I've done so many bottles. I love this bottle, like the peppermint matching with the red. It's really nice, except for the label got all jacked. But that's a nice looking bottle. So now these are all done. Move them to the front. I'll go ahead and get you guys a close-up too of the bottles. So here is, I don't know if you follow me on Instagram at all or anything, but this is the peppermint. The peppermint one, it's got a little Santa on it, kind of fun. The apple cinnamon. And there's the lemon and lime, which this one has some problems on the bottom. Not my best work on that. Strawberry and banana, goodness. And then, of course, there's another peppermint one, but the difference, oh my gosh, those labels are crazy. Holy cow. I'm going to have to go back and redo those at some point. I don't think I can stand for that to be the end. Yeah, I'll go back with these. I do want to answer a couple more questions, and then I got to get going. So I got to put them away, and I've got some other stuff to do tonight. Get yours at TJ Maxx for $2. I don't know. I have a TJ Maxx around me. Yeah. Good Lord, these labels are very sticky. They do their job, that's for sure. Oh no, come on. Oh, what a huge pain. Yeah, she did a really great job on the labels. I'm very, very content with them. I'm going to wash this one off. This will take a little while longer than I thought. Normally it's a quick process. Little pro tip for you, if you're trying to clear off labels, I have used, it is, what's it called? Oh, goodness, now I'm forgetting. Oh, baking soda works well for getting, like soaking in baking soda, that works well. But then whenever you're actually trying to get them off the side, use steel wool. Steel wool on glass does really well, and it just pulls things right off. Goo Gone, yeah, Goo Gone also works. I have not used it actually, but I have heard from many people that it does work. Let's see if I can make this label not be terrible. Yeah, it's a little better than the last time. I'm gonna jinx myself now, probably. Yeah, it's as good as it's gonna be. Unfortunately, it's as good as it's gonna be. This is the original one. I need to do that. All right, now I am done. Appreciate you guys hopping in. Thanks for listening, and I will hopefully tell your friends, because I would love to have more people involved with these things. And I want to do more live streams talking to you guys, exactly, because I appreciate your support. It's really nice to know that there are people who want to help me out. So thanks for tuning in, and I really hope you guys have a nice night. So take it easy, and cheers.